What's up, Internet? Welcome back to the Roottrees Are Dead. In the last episode, we really started locking some stuff in. We are very, very close to finalizing Guy Hudson's final tree here, and we're basically there with the miracle one. We just made a little mistake on Lisa's identification, her profession specifically, but otherwise we're doing really, really well. Obviously, the big question mark is all of the question marks is this Elias Roottree infidelity scandal situation, and we really don't have a lead on that, so that's actually where we're going to have to start here today. I think a good thing to do is to go through our evidence, right? Let's see what evidence they say we could potentially get information from, and from there we'll go through it. Before we do that, I want to just try to see if there's any way I can figure out who Susan Ford had as children, and see if there's any way I can look up Thomas Hughes or something like that. So, because this is really going to help us if we can get to those last two people, and I don't think these two should be connected in any way. So first of all, let's go with our obvious situation here. Let's go to our files. So here we go. So Susan Ford was hired as under special category. There was a chance that there was an ASL speaking person on the staff. She was hired, and then she was moved to office staff once that person was fired and or left. She stayed on, was Guy Hudson's last affair, and then she stayed on. She secured the bag, got the Grandorf Dove donation, right? And then she leaves by 1982. So she was there for 2 years, basically. 3 years. Nothing here else that I can tell from the company records, and the only thing that it gives us is just this page, and it does say Susan Ford. It says actually that two other... That's interesting. It says that two pieces of information can be pulled from the company record, specifically the page with 1980 to 1981, but I don't really know what. And then telephoto? Oh, okay, and this is going to be for her, so that's actually done as far as we know. Okay, copy that. So, again, let's look up Susan Ford, let's look up Thomas Hughes and see what we can get. Yeah. Okay, so that's the same situation. I don't think he's going to be found in any of the other ones, probably. Just doesn't even make sense to do that. Let's spider search him. No. And then how about Susan Ford? And then how about here? Yeah, maybe not. Okay, so I think we're basically going to just have to find out what her children's names are. Just like naturally? I don't even know how you do that. Maybe that's a lost cause. Okay, so that said, we have to get miracle stuff. So let's take a look at what we have here. So the game is trying to tell us that this is the most important piece of information, that there are a couple of dead ends and red herrings. Cool. Yeah, how would this help with that part of the family? Butler County, Lauren Roottree miracle. I wonder, Lauren. Yeah, we read this already. She was found. She's in a memory care facility, right? We didn't look up Jim Roottree, actually, now that I think about it. Here we go. Jim and Diamond apparently sent out some mail to Diamond's Dazzlers that mentioned that they didn't spend a lot of time near or around the candy company anymore, so they couldn't really comment on any recent news. A Best Of album did get released to CD during Roottrees Mania, and while neither of them have performed recently, the couple did do a few signings at local record stores near their estate. During question and answer sessions, Jim has stated he hasn't been inspired to write any new lyrics. As far as you could tell, Jim and Diamond's marriage is still doing just fine, and there have never been any rumors of infidelity about either of them. Very good. Good job, guys. Stay in on the straight and narrow. Miracle Roottrees, on the other hand, yeah, I think we did look at this. I think, yeah, he's cutting it off. How about Miracle Jr.? Nope. How about Miracle Third? Miracle Roottrees the Third. No. Okay. Elias's children. Oh, you know what I never looked up? I don't know if I actually ever read this. Clancid Trust is... So this is redirecting to the Clancid Trust. Clancid... Oh, wait. I'm looking for Edward Clancy Roottrees. Right? That's... Edward Clancy is who I'm really looking for. And that's not going to show up probably anywhere else, but let's at least nothing that's new. None of the public should have the information that I have, right? Telephoto, probably not. Okay, so and then what about if we did EC Roottrees? Even if it's EC? No. Okay. So that's out. I didn't know if that was going to be more revealed because of the time jump, you know? Okay, so there seems to be a little bit of stuff in these couples. So let's take a look. I have to have a feeling that one of Sam's, Elizabeth, has a daughter. Yeah, we knew all this. Yeah, it's going to be this piece. It's Beth. That's the idea, right? But because we haven't locked her in, we don't know which Beth and what Beth entails to, right? Let's go to Family Man. Bess Williams, right? So that is something for sure. We thought that maybe Bess was the misheard Beth. That makes sense. Notable events. Something in notable events, apparently. Oh, yeah, we never looked up Anonymom. Oh, interesting. Hold on. I don't think we ever did that. I'm just thinking about it, but I don't think we ever did. We also never... I want to look up... what's his face? Not from this. Reminders. I have to re-look up Roottrees Aloysius. No, okay. Okay, so Anonymom was the second high-profile case after Felix Fellows, aka 5Ps, of a potential new Roottrees being added to the Clancid Trust. Instead of claiming herself a Roottrees, however, she claimed that she'd slept with Guy Hudson and that her daughter was a Roottrees. The accusation came during the height of Roottrees Mania and began with a brief TV interview. She appeared in the shadows with a disguised voice and promoted an article about herself in Newstime. In the TV interview and the article, she referred to her daughter as Jane Doe Roottrees. What page do I have open right now? Yeah, that's fine. The name Anonymom was not self-inflicted. It seemed to spring up organically because nobody knew how else to refer to her. The day after the Newstime article... Okay. Sam Madsen publicly supported Anonymom due to some parts of the story she found particularly credible. With the momentum from Sam's endorsement, Anonymom went on a media blitz. Ultimately, this backfired. As more details came out, people became skeptical of her stories due to the extreme similarity to 5P's. Her accusation even included many of the same details as her mother's story. This included her job and the time period. Interesting. After fumbling the five-piece story so publicly, the Roottrees were more prepared to handle all antitrust-related cases. Within a week, a DNA test proved that Anonymom's daughter could not be related to the Roottrees. This was announced at a joint press conference with lawyers representing both Anonymom and the Roottrees. Each party ensured their respective clients provided accurate samples. Immediately after the negative results were released, many of those who had already been skeptical felt vindicated. Others, who had built up hope that history could repeat itself after 5-piece, fell duped. Many people suspected the whole affair had been a hoax to gain fame and money. Many demanded that Anonymom be held accountable, and some people even began to track down her true identity. The Roottree Company felt pressure to put out a second statement to try to curb some of the backlash, even going so far as to say, though it was scientifically proven that Jane Doe Roottree is not a Roottree, this doesn't mean that her mother and Guy Hudson were not involved in an affair. She had every right to make her claim, as it has been verified that her stories about Guy Hudson were not exaggerations. Please leave their family alone. Many people claim this high-profile, anti-climax, and public backlash was the beginning of the end for Roottree mania, since much of the fun was the shared fascination about secret Roottrees. Maybe we'll look up secret Roottrees. Others think that, like any fad, it just ran its course naturally. Regardless, this was the final notable event related to the release of 6 pieces, and soon things went back to normal. Jane Doe Roottree has already been eliminated as a potential new Roottree by the company's lawyers, who are the ones verifying your work. Anonymom's affair does not appear on your updated tree. Okay, that's cool, but I still feel like this is going to give us something. Okay, what about the News Time article about Anonymom? Yeah, see? An anonymous woman appeared on the cover of News Time holding a picture of her daughter, Jane Doe Roottree. The first and only mention of the phrase Anonymom in News Time came the week after, when they initiated an apology for featuring her in the first place. A summary of the initial cover article has been added to your evidence. Okay, so that we did that. How about secret Roottrees? And then, how about... Okay, that brings up that one. And then, how about... Yeah, that's still fine. How about Picotee? Oh! Picotee is not afraid to expose details that the other publications would avoid. Shortly after the announcement that Jane Doe Roottree was not a Roottree, Picotee exposed personal details about the story of Anonymom under the headline, Anonymom the Anonicon. They said that Anonymom worked as a manager at a department store in North Carolina. And her daughter's name was Courtney May. Okay, hello. I don't know where to put this. Let's put this at 6 pieces. So... Anonymom, highlight. They also said that the woman that vouched for her famous cover story, they didn't identify News Time, perhaps to avoid being sued, is named Corinne S. And that she had filed for bankruptcy. The article speculates that Anonymom and Corinne were in on it together, and speculates that they might have even been lovers. Picotee is not a credible publication. Their information wasn't particularly actionable. Very few seem to notice or care. Corinne S. Okay. I don't know what to do with this information necessarily. Where is the Herald? Courtney May is not a common name either, so let's take a look at the evidence though. Let's see where we got it here. Here. Oh. Here we go again, another claim to the famous name. It was determined through a DNA test that Anonymom's daughter was not a Roottree. This article, which did revert to her daughter as Jane Doe Roottree but cannot coin the phrase Anonymom, came before all that, right around the time of her first TV interview. This is a summary. An anonymous woman appeared on the cover of News Time shortly after 5Ps was confirmed to be a member of the Roottree family. In an homage to the previous cover, she holds a photo of her daughter. Unlike 5Ps, she wished to remain anonymous, and both photos were obscured. The anonymous woman claimed to have an affair with Guy Hudson while she was working as his secretary. She and another woman were hired at the same time. Okay, cool. During a transition period when many of the secretaries that had worked under Zach Morden were already gone. She says that she and the other woman were both underqualified and as neither had typewriter experience. According to other staff members interviewed, Guy had his own requirements for hiring women. Of course he did. Guy Hudson liked to throw lavish parties, and the longer he was president, the more excuses he had found. The anonymous woman posits that these parties mostly seemed to be an excuse to have after parties at Guy's home, featuring much more alcohol and other substances. She claims that she slept with him after one of these parties. She confronted Guy when she found out that she was pregnant. Guy didn't seem fazed, and they came to an arrangement. He paid her a significant amount of hush money on a recurring basis under the table. She used it to move away and start a new life with her daughter. When Guy died, the money stopped coming, and she assumed things had run their course. She went back to work at the department store and hoped that nobody would ever look too closely at how she paid for her house. She told everyone that her daughter's father worked out one day and never came back. She claimed after seeing the fantastic news article in News Times, she realized that she wasn't the only one this had happened to. While she never worked at the Roottrees Company at any of the times, at the same time as Five Peas' mother Joanna, their stories seemed eerily similar, and she knew Felix was telling the truth right away. The article presented no tangible evidence of the anonymous woman's time at Roottrees, and all the payments were made allegedly in cash. However, using details that she provided to Newstime, their reporters were able to reach out to the other woman hired at the same time, who also remained anonymous. They successfully fact-checked the timeline of both women and confirmed the existence of the infamous after-parties. Five Peas' case was strengthened, and this news story was subsequently published. Okay, so we don't get faces, which is great, obviously, because then that means they don't appear on the tree, at least as it is now. Let's take a look at this, right? So, Kristen Garland, Lisa Lewis, Valerie Ewing were hired. William Sams was hired. So we're talking about people. See, Corinne, that is a person, Corinne Schwartz. When was she hired? Beatrice Watts and Corinne Schwartz. They were both fired at the same time too. Let's look her up. Corinne Schwartz comes up in a few articles from local news stations in Pennsylvania. Okay, some of the people attempting to track down Anonymom were harassing her. She recently had to take a leave of absence because people showed up at the car dealership where she works. She's begging people to stop the accusations so that she can get back to a normal life. In every article you find, the journalists involved have independently verified that she is not Anonymom. That's fine, but let's go to the Butler County Times. Corinne Schwartz resides in Pennsylvania, though it appears she lives beyond the Butler County limits. After she was named in a national tabloid, people have to come to her place of work and accuse her of being Anonymom. The article explains it's impossible for her to be Anonymom because her only child is still in middle school. Unless her son's gestation period was approximately 10 years, it doesn't appear like Corinne could have been involved in any of the potential affairs you see on the tree. Fine, but I still don't want to give up. Okay, how about the other woman, though? How about Beatrice Watts? Because it's funny, because the game is actively telling us that it's not part of it, but I feel like I feel like it's not nothing, right? They were hired. What about Lisa? Let's just look up these other two names here. And I think the only one that will be relevant is this one. And then Valerie Ewing. Okay. This might be a dead end. Completely. Damn it. Okay. If that's the case, well, here's the thing. And I hate to metagame this, but if we have this photo and Bess Williams dies in 19 whatever, the only place she could possibly be on this entire thing is here. I feel really good about the idea that he was... Oh, I just thought about the parallels, too. Guy really wants to be like Elias, too, and he ends up sleeping with... he ends up sleeping with. Oh no, the Sisely Sanchez was she got proposition too, but they both have like a want to have an author write a book about them. Yeah, it's good. The evidence is there. I just don't have the evidence that Bess is the mother of whoever child. Like, there could have been an affair, but I need to have evidence of a future, like this family tree that continues to go. Let me see if can I. Ideally, it's something here that's going to crack it open, right? Notable events. Unfortunately, does any of this have any relevance to the ones that I have left to get on the other sides of this, right? Like, I don't know, without locking in Lisa and these two, I don't know what evidence is going to be relating to those ones. And I've definitely looked up the public library, right? So this is Bess Williams. It's blatant corporate propaganda. And Bess Williams on Spider Search. Right. Cuba by Cubans. We didn't look up. Did we look up Marcia Barban and a bunch of other stuff? Let's see. Probably not, but you know, weirder things have worked. How about telephoto? No. Yeah, I don't know. This to me makes sense if this was going to be Bess Williams, but I can't even really lock that in, and I have no evidence to go off of to like continue to confirm that. You know, I think I might just have to go with. And we've looked up the names of the women who. Let's take another look at this, because there are 3 things here, which means 3 different people. And yeah, Ruby Legal. I have a feeling that we're going to get to it through Ruby. There's no way. Ruby Spratt. And we looked up. Where is it? This is how we got it, isn't it? Trying to find anything. Magazine owned by a major airline. Yeah, it's just not enough to go off of. Maybe we go back through some of the old stuff. Let's see. Is there anything that we can figure out? Cystine apple we probably got at this point. Yeah, we're good there. Probably good there. Cravensworth, Beth Knox, Joanna Robertson is their mother. 5 Pieces mother. This is interesting. Have we looked up Beth Knox? I feel like we have in every situation. Now I'm really we're just struggling here. Oh, interesting. Hold on. I don't think I saw this. Elias and Gwyneth Roottrees were never really celebrities, but the general public's perception of them as classic faces associated with the Roottrees Candy Company had always been in somewhat high regards. This was Elias' intention as a family man with his family brand. Since 6 Pieces, the candy company has placed much less of an emphasis on Elias as a historical brand-connected figure, but there have also been those who have argued that it was his right to decide how to split his inheritance and that he did nothing wrong. This has led to some heated television exchanges and countless op-eds. The first Anderson Maple Farm only used to be a popular tourist attraction during the summer months when it had special tours. However, it has since seen an explosion of off-season business as some religious and political groups decided to visit to show support for Elias and Gwyneth's traditional values and financial rights. This rise in support was in turn followed by pickets from gay rights activists when some particularly inflammatory organizations made their pilgrimages. Amongst all this conflict, the farm has since shut down, seemingly indefinitely. The website says check back later, but has no date listed. The quotes from Bess Williams' book appear to have been taken down. First Anderson Maple Farm. Same thing. How about if we do this? Oh. Copy and paste. How about some of our trashy tabloids? Nope. Gwyneth Anderson. No, it's the same thing. How about, because I think an in could be with Gwyneth, right? Gwyneth Roottrees often attended social events with her husband. She's not mentioned in the newspaper except in that context, so you find no useful information. Elias. What about Business Watch? Yeah. It seems like all signs are pointing to Bess Williams, right? But I don't know where to continue that thread. If this is Bess Williams, she was a writer, an author. I think that makes sense, but now how do we... Let's go back to Bess Williams. We got to take a look again at that. Oh, hello. Here we go. Right, in this world. Right, so if we just look up Bess Williams. She lived just outside of Miami and died tragically young in a major hurricane that struck the area in 1926. So if that was the case, then she would have had a child in Miami between 1921 and 1926. So I'm looking for some probably in Miami. The Bocadoral Library, not far from where she lived, was partially destroyed. I think we just have to keep going. I must have missed something. The Bocadoral Library no longer exists. For searching for the Miami Print Museum, right? Say blah blah blah. Indicates a fountain. The picture has been added to your evidence. Another is a printing press that was used by the Miami Sunday. Actually, and yeah, wait, hold on. Does the picture of the fountain come up with something? Where is the picture of the fountain? It's called the library statue. It doesn't list as something that I can use, which is weird. I forget exactly how do they mark intuition, right? What is the thing that they're marking? The more there is to find. The numbers in the magnifying glass refer to how many clues are connected to a specific piece of evidence. So more evidence, huh? So in that case, this seems important. Taking a look. I haven't actually read it. Skim the sections on guide to ask blah 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 blah. Sam mentioned guided affairs and treats them like most people would logically think to treat them, but like the infidelity was a problem for Patricia when his wife first approached me, though wasn't a talk, if you get my meaning. Yeah. Women. Patricia enjoyed the company of women, and the swinger scene made that more accessible. And did we ever look up if... Let's look at more stuff about Sisely Sanchez if we can. Yeah, we looked at that. Yeah. And then Sisely Sanchez here. And Guy Hudson with Family Man is not a thing, right? Yep. No. Damn, how do I do this? What? What piece of information is going to help me move forward? It's got to be something that I knew but can have a new perspective on. Lauren's two diaries are probably the most useful resources overall. I mean, it's not going to be something more in the diaries, but life between wars. So oh, what? Okay, got it. Let me just check because I've been waffling for a very long time here. Yeah, it's been 30 minutes. When revisiting Lauren's book, there's a single passage that focuses on potential affairs in her immediate family. You've added it to the rest of your evidence. And then there's another revisiting the diary. Okay. What? Welcome back. An entry entitled Cruelty from Lauren Roottrees' diary written in 1963. It focuses on the relationship between her mother and father. While it offered only redundant information during your previous investigation, it mentions the subject of affairs and may be more useful this time around. Let's go back to the Elias page. Okay. And I think everything but the Bocadoral Library is completely garbage. I am no stranger to true love. Jacob and I married at an age that most deem unfit for marriage, but he was also enlisting at an age that most deem unfit for war. We had no choice. I knew in my heart that our marriage was one for the ages. He and I would still be together today if not for Okinawa. That was nearly 20 years ago, but there's an emptiness in my soul. I do not understand my contemporaries. So many girls I went to school with have taken multiple lovers. So many of my girlfriends' husbands have been unfaithful. If I'm to remain true to the ghost of a man, with no chance of physical reciprocation, no potential for long conversation, how could it be so hard to love someone you can reach out and touch, someone you can joke with? I have not had to deal with such madness at home. My parents are a perfect match, in the worst way. My mother's cruelty is a perfect fit for my father's general spite. In turn, Pop's status enables her incessant need to gloat and feel superior. Wait, her parents? But her parents are... these two, Sarah Cosell and Clancy Edward. Where are we here? In turn, Pop's status enables her incessant need to gloat and feel superior. I've grown up with their cruelty and disdain for others my entire life. Even my family remains unspared. They make fun of my grandpop and his family, saying blood is thicker than syrup, but none's thicker than Elias. They mimic Grandma Gwyneth's lisp and see her lisp as a weakness. Elias, please remember them. Not even our family's maladies and religion go unmocked. Remember, God only put one eye in miracle. Jesus, I can say without a doubt in my mind that my parents have never have eyes for anyone outside their marriage. They're too self-centered to look astray. So, right. So she had wow, that's crazy. If she had a lisp, then her saying Beth means that she was talking about Bess. So that's 100% then. I'm confirming that. So Bess Williams was the thing. That's the evidence we needed to confirm at least that is true. Now we have to just figure out who are the remaining 6 people 8 people, but 6 people who are potentially related to the Roottrees. I don't know the answer to that question, but we're going to figure it out in the next episode. I didn't make a ton of progress here, but I feel at least good enough that we found that piece of evidence. That's awesome. All of this is helping us get to the place where this is going to crack right open. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, and actually, the notable left. Or the reminders. Oh, no. Reminders dropped one. So we found a piece of evidence here. Okay. So maybe we just have to let's keep hitting at it. Let's take a look at anything that we think is going to be relevant. But we'll have to do that in the next one. Please give this video a like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.